Hey class, we're going to now start talking about domain and range of functions and how to determine a reasonable domain and range for a real life situation. So let's first talk about some vocabulary here. We have a relation, which we're going to call any set of ordered pairs. Um, a function is a special relation. And this bold sentence right here is very important. A function assigns each input to exactly one output. So that means that for any input, I can't have two different outputs for that same input. It has to be just one output. The function rule has to know what to do. There can't be multiple options. So the next new vocab word that we talked about last time is going to be the domain, which is the collection of all input values, right? These are going to come from the independent variable, typically x, right? And the collection of all output values, we're going to call the range. And this is the dependent variable, all the possibilities for it, which is typically y. So let's go through example 1. We're going to go through example 1 and 2. So I'm going to scroll down. If you need to write anything down, you can always pause the video and go back. So let's determine the domain and range. So the domain is going to be all of the possible x values. And we see here, this is called kind of set notation, where I put these curly brackets around everything in this set of ordered pairs. So we're only going to be looking at these ones. So we have to first remember an ordered pair comes in this order, x and then y. That's why it's called an ordered pair, because it's always in this order. So if I want to look at all of my possible inputs or all of my possible independent variables, or x, I need to look at all of the first number in these ordered pairs. So I'm going to list all of those here. So 1, 8, 9, 5, and 6. And then to do the range, I do the same thing, but I'm going to look for all of my y values and write them all down. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, 7, and 0. And then the next step is we need to determine, is it a function? Function question mark. So if I look up here, I need to make sure that for every input value, there's only one possible output. So for 1, I don't see another input of 1 going to something other than 2. And that's the case for all of the input values. So this means that function question mark, yes, it is a function. Let's look at Roman numeral 2 in example 1. So again, I look for all of my x values in my domain. So I have one, looks like I only have one input value. Since it's repeated, I only need to list it once in a set of numbers. If I want to talk about all the different numbers, I don't need to repeat ones that just happen more than once. And then the range is going to be all of my output values. So I have um, 0, 2, 3, 5, and 4. And notice, if I look, for every input value, so there's only one input value, 1, I need to only have one output associated with that input. But notice the problem. 1 has 0 as an output, but then it has 2 as an output, but then it has 3 as an output. So it has all these possible outputs. It is not just one output, so therefore it is not a function. I need every input to only have one output. That's very important. So next one, a domain. Now I'm given a table, so I look in the X part of the table for my domain. So I have 3, 8, 9, 6, and -4. I can put my brackets around that. And then my range, I have 5. There's only one output. And now it's a little tricky. The question is every input have only one output? And if you look, yes, every input has only one output. There's 3 doesn't have another option of like 6, for example. It's only 5. However, all of the inputs happen to have the same output. That's okay. They just can have different outputs for the same input. So I hope that's clear. So this is a function, yes, because each one of my inputs only has one output. It might always be 5, but at least it's not 5 and something else. And then lastly, same thing, I'm given the table. So I'm going to have 5, 7, 3, 2, and 5, which I don't need to include again. I noticed that I had 2 inputs that were the same, and I can look real quick. Oh, the output is not the same. So there's 0 and 1 could be the output for 5. So there's not just one option. So therefore, it is not going to be a function. And I'll let you guys write down the range here. It's going to come from that Y column. And I will see you guys in the next video.